Hello, this presentation is designed to outline for school districts and the Infant Toddler Program staff the federal requirements that govern the transitional process from Part C Infant Toddler Program to the local school district. In the state of Idaho, the Infant Toddler Program, housed in the Department of Health and Welfare, is the lead agency for Part C of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA. The hosts of this presentation are Shannon Dunstan, 619 Early Childhood Coordinator, and Christy Cronheim, Infant Toddler Part C Coordinator.
The objectives of this presentation is to provide an overview of transition planning and describe the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, Part C transition requirements. We will provide specifics related to the Individualized Family Service Plan, IFSP, steps and services, notification process of potentially eligible students from Part C to the State Education Agency, which is the State Department of Education, and the local education agency, otherwise known as the school district. We will also discuss the importance and timelines for transition conferences and referrals to Part B special education, the evaluation and eligibility process for Part B early childhood special education, individual education plan, IEP development, and late referrals from Part C and summer birthdays.
Part C Infant Toddler Program and ITP all refer to the same program. The same is true for Part B, 619, and Early Childhood Special Ed. SEA refers to the State Department of Education, and LEA, Local Education Agency, and school districts all identify the same program. In federal, state, and local documents, the resources, these terms are often interchangeable. In this presentation, we will try to be consistent with these interchangeable terms and acronyms.
The Infant Toddler Program, or ITP, provides special education services for children birth to their third birthday. During the transitional period, parent or families can have anxiety and concerns about their child moving from home-based services into a school setting. It is important for both programs to work with families to answer their questions, address their concerns, and provide the necessary information to assure a smooth transition. Both programs have different regulatory requirements and timelines. These often require a coordinated effort on both sides to become familiar with the other program's requirements and timelines and have the flexibility to meet each program's needs. This can look different for each district and program, as well as individual children and their families. Under both the Part C and Part B programs, each school district that receives special education funding must have a signed interagency agreement with their Part C partner. In the Part C program, this agreement is referred to as the local protocol. This agreement or protocol is required to be completed every 2 years and updated yearly.
Part C of the Individuals with Disabilities Act has three main transitional requirements. The first is ensuring the child's IFSP contains steps and services. The second is holding a transition conference, and the third requirement is notifying the State Department of Education and the school district of Part B potentially eligible children.
Now let's get a bit more in depth into each of the three Part C transition requirements that the ITP is required to meet. The ITP must ensure all children's IFSP contains transition steps and services at least 90 days and at the discretion of all parties not more than 9 months before the child's third birthday. This transition requirement is for all children enrolled in ITP, regardless of whether they are Part B potentially eligible or not. In general, the ITP looks at the IFSP closest to the child's second birthday to identify transition steps and services. And regardless of where the child is transitioning to, the ITP is responsible to identify and document steps and services that will support the child and family through the transition process.
The second Part C transition requirement is providing a notification to the SEA and LEA. When we look at providing notification to the LEA and SEA, the ITP must ensure the notification is provided at least 90 days before the child's third birthday for children who are Part B potentially eligible to the school district in which the child resides. The ITP, SEA, and LEA notification is done through a centralized process. Monthly reports with all Part B potentially eligible children are sent to the school district and the State Department of Ed via email at the same time when a child is 2 years, 6 months of age. Late referrals to the ITP will be discussed later in this presentation.
Now that we've shared the timelines and process for the SCA and LEA notifications, let's look at what type of information the ITP can include in the notifications. Based on the IDEA Part C and the Family Educational and Privacy Act, or FERPA, the ITP is only allowed to provide the child's name, child's date of birth, and parent contact information, including names, addresses, and telephone numbers, without obtaining consent from parents or legal guardians. This notification is a referral for Part B special education.
Upon receipt of the Part C notification, the LEA is obligated to contact each family, providing them with Part B procedural safeguards and written information about the Part B and early childhood special education services that are available in the district. After receiving consent to assess, the LEA will complete the evaluation process to determine Part B eligibility. The district may provide this information to the family at the Part C transition conference, during the consent meeting, or via the mail.
The final Part C transition requirement is holding a transition conference. The ITP must hold a Part C transition conference with approval from the family at least 90 days and at the discretion of all parties, not more than 9 months before the child's birthday, for children that are Part B potentially eligible. In most instances, the Part C transition conference typically occurs between 2 years 6 months of age and 2 years 9 months of age. If a child is Part B potentially eligible, the ITP is required to invite the child's parent or legal guardian, school district representative, ITP providers, and others as requested by the family. There is also an option to invite other agencies that may be considered for future services with consent of the parent or legal guardian.
As stated on the previous slide, IDEA Part C requires the LEA to participate in the Part C transition conference. However, if the LEA is not able to participate, the ITP must still hold the transition conference to assure appropriate timelines are met. The purpose of the Part C transition conference is to introduce the child and family to program or service options to help them make an informed decision about all available options within their community for their child once they turn 3 years of age. The Part C transition conference also provides an opportunity for families to learn more information regarding their school district's program and services, and for the school district representative to learn more about the child and the family. At this time, the school might consider obtaining consent to assess to start the Part B eligibility process.
Either at the Part C transition conference or shortly thereafter, the ITP will complete a Department of Health and Welfare disclosure form with consent from the parent or legal guardian, allowing the service coordinator to provide the LEA with documents identified in the disclosure form. Typical documentation includes current IFSP Part 1 and 2, all addendums to the current IFSP, existing Part C evaluations, existing Part C assessments, existing Part C continuing service reports completed within the last 6 months, existing Part C progress review completed within the last 6 months, and other documents as identified.
This slide depicts the federal IDEA Part C transition requirements for late referrals. It is important to note that each time frame depicts regulations for the transition requirements. Children who are referred and determined eligible for the ITP between 31.5 months or 135 days to 33 months or 90 days before the child's 3rd birthday follow the same transitional process as described previously. It is important to recognize that the timeline for completing all Part C requirements must still be completed 90 days before the child's 3rd birthday. During this time frame, the SEA LEA might receive an individualized child notification. For children who are referred and determined eligible for the ITP between 33 months or 90 days to 34.5 months or 45 days before the child's 3rd birthday, it is recommended to conduct simultaneous eligibility determination for Part C and Part B. The IFSP must include transition plan steps and services, and the ITP will hold a transition conference. For children referred and determined eligible during this time frame, The transitional conference should be held at the initial IFSP meeting. During this time frame, the SEA-LEA will receive transition notification that might be individualized for that child. Children who are referred to ITP between 34.5 months or 45 days to 36 months or 3 years will be referred directly to the LEA. This child will go through the regular LEA referral screening and eligibility process with no Part C to Part B timelines.
Idaho State's rules specify that school districts are not required to provide services when school is not in session for greater than 5 days. As a result, timing around transition planning for children who have their third birthday during the summer must be adjusted to assure the transition can be completed in an effective and timely manner. It is critical that agencies work together to ensure that there is timely notification of potentially eligible children, referral to Part B, and transition conferences to ensure that Part B eligibility determination can occur and an IEP is developed before the end of the school year. Children who are referred and determined Part C eligible between 33 and 34.5 months of age requires direct communication with the LEA's summer contact identified in the interagency agreement or local protocol. Regarding late referrals for children with summer birthdays, the ITP service coordinator must confirm contact with the LEA identified staff to ensure timely Part B eligibility and IEP development.
The LEA is responsible for making decisions regarding evaluation, assessment, and eligibility for Part B. The school district has an obligation to evaluate and, if found eligible, develop an IEP before the student's third birthday. If the eligibility team reviews all relevant information provided by ITP, the parent, outside evaluators, and the school district's professional judgment and determine the student will not qualify for special education, the school district must provide the family with written notice documenting why the child did not qualify for special education services and encourage the family at any time in the future that they can bring that student back for additional evaluations. Part C and Part B staff should work collaboratively to share necessary information when possible.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video on the Idaho transitional process from Part C to Part B. If you have any questions, please call or email Christy Cronheim, Infant Toddler Part C Coordinator, or Shannon Dunstan, Part B 619 Coordinator.